World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
This is World News in 5 here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. United States Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin encourages Israel anew to continue its steps in addressing the dire humanitarian situation in the war-torn Gaza Strip. Austin relayed this as he spoke with his Israeli counterpart Yoav Gallant, and days after Washington sent a letter to the Israeli government that urged for the improvement of the humanitarian situation in the Palestinian enclave. In a readout released by the Pentagon, Austin noted the recent action made by Israel to increase the amount of humanitarian assistance entering Gaza, encouraging the Israeli government to continue such steps to address the dire situation in the enclave. Over the weekend, Austin and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrote to Israeli officials demanding concrete measures to address the worsening situation in Gaza amid Israel's continued military campaign in the area. The two U.S. officials have warned that failure to do such action within a month could lead to the potential restrictions of American military aid to Israel. In a United Nations Security Council meeting on Wednesday, United States envoy to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said Washington is watching to ensure that Israel's actions on the ground match on what it is saying. She stressed that if Israel has a policy of starvation in the northern Gaza Strip, it would be horrific and unacceptable and would have implications under the U.S. and international law. Speaking at the same council meeting, Israel's ambassador to UN, Danny Danon, said the issue in the enclave was not the lack of aid but the militant group Hamas's hijacking of humanitarian assistance. Hamas has repeatedly denied Israel's allegations that it was stealing or diverting aid, saying Israel is to blame for such shortage in the enclave. In our news, North Korea has called South Korea a hostile state, confirming Pyongyang's recent amendment on its constitution that closes the path for their unification. In a news released by the state-run KCNA, it said the North Korean military had blasted roads and railways that link to South Korea, a measure that it said inevitable and legitimate in line with the country's constitution, defining South Korea as a hostile state. It also said the blasting was due to the serious security circumstances between the two Koreas. Earlier this year, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un called for a constitutional amendment that aims to abolish the idea of unification with Seoul as a national goal. The North's Supreme People's Assembly had a meeting last week where the said amendment had been expected to be tackled. The state media had not reported any change in the country's constitution, drawing a speculation that the move was deferred. Tuesday's blasting of roads and railways with links to South Korea was the latest in the series of tensions in the Korean peninsula, which prevailed in the past months and years. And for Philippine Embassy and Consular news, Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Jose Manuel Romualdez, expressed Manila's continued support for a rules-based international order in ensuring a free and open Indo-Pacific. He made this statement during the San Francisco Fleet Week Senior Leaders Seminar International Day held on board the USS Tripoli on October 9. In his remarks during the event, the ambassador also outlined measures undertaken by the Philippines to address the situation in the South China Sea, including through diplomacy and dialogue via bilateral and multilateral channels, as well as by strengthening and upgrading the country's defense capabilities. During the San Francisco Fleet Week U.S. Navy reception that followed, the ambassador assured the United States of the Philippines' commitment to strengthening the robust partnership between the two allies. Established by then-Mayor Diane Faistin in 1981, San Francisco Fleet Week is an annual celebration in the Bay Area bringing together civilian and military forces to highlight the U.S. maritime services with a focus on humanitarian assistance. And that's for today's edition of World News in 5 for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is Win Peñano. Good day.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.